I just too want to thank the two speakers this morning, and I just have two questions, and I suppose following on there from Senator Siri Carney, when we asked about information given to the child, like how has early discussion about a child's identity, do you believe, impacted their understanding and how they feel about their conception methods? So maybe that would be one question. And my second question would be for the doctor. Public services are limited with long waiting lists, so what would be the options you would envisage as solutions or systems so that children might access counselling when needed quickly and easily? That's a question that keeps coming up to me recently. So there are my two questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't foresee that this group of children are likely to require more counselling than the average child population. If the issues are handled appropriately. All the research is pointing to very good outcomes. Like I remember when I started to work with children, say, born through IVF, there was always a wondering, you know, how are these children going to do? How is the disclosure going to affect them? So the children are doing well. So I wouldn't move towards these children are going to need counselling. Yeah. I would move, though, towards it's really important how these children are told. And I think the fertility clinics and the surrogacy agencies may well have a role in that. Firstly, looking with people at why they might tell or why they won't tell, and actually hearing people's ambivalence about why they won't or they don't want to tell. Senator Carney was talking about the weaponising and family breakdown. The most heartbreaking situations that I have seen in family breakdown is when the children are told at the point of the breakdown. So that can be prevented by going back and making sure early disclosure happens in an age-appropriate way.
Thank you.
Deputy Murnane-O'Connor, you still have 4.5 minutes. Would you like to
no, Doctor, do you see it yourself? What is your view on this, on the counselling and the system? Sorry.
My apologies. Sorry, I thought you were still down the queue. The view on through you as the ombudsman. What would be your recommendation, or what do you see? Look, we see at the moment there's such limited long waiting lists, and I'm just wondering what do you see would be an option here that could be looked at? And I totally want to agree with you when you spoke in your opening statement about children's rights and the best interests of the child. That is, for me, is the priority here, and I really do welcome that, and I know that is your priority as well, so I totally agree with that. Well, I think in relation to what's already been said, I mean, Caoimhe's put it very, very well. I think the idea here is that we need to start the conversation long before the child is born. The intended parents, the surrogate parents, the clinics that may be involved, anybody who's involved needs to discuss how this is going to work once the child is born. The information needs to be very clear. We need to gather that information. We need to know that the child is going to get, as we said, we recommend that they get a full access to information when they desire it. So that has to be gathered. And if you're gathering it, then you need to educate the people that the child is informed as soon as possible in the right, appropriate way, as Caoimhe has said. And I think that's the way forward. It's how you minimise any trauma that may come from the circumstances. Yeah. As you know, again, the idea that a child always wonders who the parents are, what about them, whatever the parent background is, children are trying to figure out. So again, if you're honest and open with the child in an age-appropriate manner, things become much easier. And again, that has to happen with the professionals they deal with. So the GP you meet with, the gynaecologist, the people anybody that interacts with the child in the first few years is honest and open about the background. So I think those are the sort of things, but that's cultural as well as public services.
Yeah, it is.
And I think we need to move in that direction. But this is a really good start here to start having these discussions openly and clearly. And what Caoimhe's put on the record there is very important. That this is already happening. We have stories from the background that we can put out there that we need to protect our children and our families from. I think it's trying to prevent the trauma in the future is what we're about. And the best interest of the child is very clear in that regard.
Yeah, and just even from, all the different groups and witnesses that we have had in, and families in particular, and, you know, like they're really hunger to get legislation, to get a bill that is there for the children, because it is all about the children. And, you know, and even I felt, even from the stories we had, and we've had some, you know, really lovely stories, that, you know, I suppose it's to get it right this time. It's to get this bill right, and to make sure that, you know, we are listening to the stories, like you're saying, and we are, like, doing things right. And that's what the families want, and the circus, you know, parents want. So I think there is, you know, I think this is going to be a really good bill, but I just think we need to make sure that we do address all the issues going forward. And that's it. Thank you very much. And thank you.